It was supposed to be a fresh start, a new chapter in my life. I had just moved into an old, slightly run-down apartment building on the outskirts of the city. The rent was cheap, and the location was quiet, perfect for someone like me who was trying to escape the hustle and noise of the city. The place seemed normal enough at first, nothing that screamed haunted or wrong, but I guess the real terror never comes in the way you expect. I moved in, unpacked my things, and began settling in. The building was old, but the apartment itself was spacious, a perfect little haven for me to escape from the chaos outside. The walls were thin, and the hallways creaked like an old ship, but nothing that truly bothered me. After a few weeks, I started to notice odd things happening. It started with small things. Lights flickering at odd hours, doors creaking open when I was certain I had locked them, and the sense that I wasn't alone, even when I knew for sure that I was. At first, I brushed it off. It's an old building, I told myself. These things happen. It wasn't until the mirror that everything started to change. It was a full-length mirror that came with the apartment. I wasn't thrilled about it at first. It was large, old-fashioned, and the frame was decorated with intricate designs, almost too ornate for my taste. But there was something about the mirror that caught my attention every time I passed it, something that felt wrong. I could never explain why, but I always felt like the reflection didn't match up perfectly with the room around it. The lighting was just slightly off, as if it was showing a different time of day, even though the room looked perfectly normal. At first, I didn't think much of it, but as days went by, I started to notice the shadows in the reflection. They seemed to move independently of the light in the room, darkening and twisting unnaturally. Sometimes, when I looked in the mirror, I could almost swear I saw something, or someone, moving behind me in the reflection, just out of the corner of my eye. It started small, but it got worse. One night, I was sitting on the couch, reading a book, when I glanced at the mirror. I saw something shift. A figure, dark and indistinct, standing in the reflection. It was too quick to be real, just a flicker, almost like a shadow that didn't belong. But it was enough to make my heart stop. I stood up slowly, approaching the mirror, staring at my reflection as I moved. Nothing, just me. But something felt off. I couldn't place it. I started feeling the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, a cold, unnatural sensation washing over me. It felt like the mirror itself was watching me. But I couldn't tear my eyes away. Then something moved in the reflection. I wasn't sure what I had seen at first. It was so sudden, so fleeting, that I wasn't sure I could trust my own eyes. I stepped back from the mirror and squinted, trying to focus, and that's when I saw it clearly. A face. It wasn't my face, though. It was twisted, distorted in a way that made my stomach churn. The eyes were wide, bulging, and unblinking. Its mouth hung open in a grotesque grin, showing too many teeth. The face wasn't even fully formed. It was like a smear, a shadow, something that didn't belong in the reflection at all. But somehow, it was there. I froze in place, my breath caught in my throat. The face didn't move at first. It just stared, its eyes locked onto mine, as if it were aware of me, aware that I could see it. I wanted to scream, to run, but my feet were glued to the floor. And then, the smile in the reflection grew wider, too wide. That's when it spoke. The voice wasn't one I heard with my ears. It was more like it was inside my head, whispering directly into my thoughts. The words were cold, hollow, like the voice came from something deep in the earth. You shouldn't have looked at me. I couldn't breathe. The room around me seemed to darken, and the edges of my vision blurred. I stepped backward, my legs shaking, but the reflection didn't change. The face didn't move, but I could feel its presence pressing against me, suffocating me like it was coming closer, even though I was standing several feet away. Leave, or you'll never leave. I didn't know what to do. My body felt numb, but I somehow forced myself to tear my gaze away from the mirror. I stumbled backward, my heart racing, my pulse pounding in my ears. But as I turned to walk away, I saw it again. In the corner of my eye, in the reflection, something moved. A figure creeping up behind me. It wasn't me. I whipped my head back toward the mirror, my heart now hammering in my chest. But there was nothing there, just my own reflection, standing still, staring back at me. I wasn't sure if I had imagined it. Maybe the stress of the move, the isolation, or just too much wine. But the next few days were even worse. The shadow in the mirror didn't go away. It started to appear every time I passed the thing. It would be in the corner of my vision, lurking, moving just slightly in the background. At first, it was just the figure, tall, shadowy, always just out of focus. But then, the details began to change. It became more defined, more real, until I could see it clearly. A tall, lanky figure with twisted limbs, its body contorted in unnatural ways. Its face, if you could even call it that, was now visible. A hollow expression with glowing eyes. Its mouth was wide open, as though it were waiting for me to do something. I began to feel the pull, the urge to look. I tried to avoid it. I covered the mirror with a blanket. I tried to go about my life, but it was impossible. That thing in the reflection wouldn't leave me alone. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. Every time I looked at anything reflective, I saw its glowing eyes staring back at me. I tried moving out of the apartment, but somehow, no matter where I went, I could still see it. In the reflection of store windows and puddles on the street, it was following me. I couldn't escape. I didn't realize what it wanted until it was too late. The whispers, the voice, the reflection. It wasn't just tormenting me. It was trying to take me. The more I saw it, the more it changed me. I was losing my grip on reality. It started to feel like I was living in two worlds, one where I existed, and another where the thing in the mirror was slowly taking over. The reflection wasn't just an image anymore. It was becoming me, and I could feel it inside of me. One night, I woke up to find myself standing in front of the mirror. The face, now fully real, was smiling back at me, and I realized then, with a gut-wrenching certainty, that the reflection wasn't mine anymore. It was it. The creature was inside me, wearing my skin like a suit. I don't know what happened after that. I'm writing this now, but it feels like I'm not even in control of my own words. Sometimes I think I'm still standing in front of the mirror, still looking into that twisted smile. Maybe that's where I am. Maybe I've always been there. The thing in the mirror is still watching me, and I'm beginning to wonder if I'm still here at all.